Shalom, shalom, shalom. As always, first I want to give all the praises and the glory to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, and to His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to our apostles and to the elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to you, and shalom to the 144,000, and to the mixed multitude, the hopeful elect brothers and sisters of the house of Israel. So we're just gonna do this quick video here. Just gonna kind of speak on this subject today: the sons of Israel in the Roman army. All right, the sons of Israel in Caesar's service. As you can see, it says they're Jewish soldiers in the Roman military. It should say the Israelite military. Now that's what it should say. It should say the Israelite community. It shouldn't say the Jewish community, because as you know, that Jewish is who they refer to as those small hats. We are talking about the children of Israel. Is who they refer to as those small hats. We're talking about the Israelites, the true children of the Most High. Now, there's been a lot of debate whether or not Israelites were in the Roman service, were in the Roman army. You know, there's been a lot of discussion about that recently as well, especially regarding our beloved brother Cornelius, right? Who was a centurion in the Roman army, Cornelius, right? Who was an Israelite. When we read go into the book of Acts 10, when it speaks about a certain man from Caesarea called Cornelius, a centurion of the band called the Italian Band, all right? Now, there's plenty of evidence about Israelites being in Caesar's service. And I think the most famous one of them is Tiberius Alexandria, he was a Praetorian, he was an Equatorian soldier, he was a Praetorian, he was a governor of, I think he was the governor of Egypt, and he was a general in the Roman army, and he was the man that General Vespasian sent for before he became the Emperor Vespasian to take down the Israelite, they even got me saying Jewish, so lucky, the Israelite revolt that began in the middle of 66 AD during the reign of Emperor Nero. And then when Nero died in 68 AD, you had the year of the four emperors, which was Otho, Galba, Vitellius, and Vespasian. Basically, he was all bidden for the throne, and then eventually Vespasian became the main man. He became the emperor. He became the one who survived the year. He was the emperor that survived the year of the four emperors, was Vespasian under the Flavian dynasty. Now, it was Emperor Nero, that sent for Vespasian to subdue the Israelite rebellion that was taking place in Jerusalem. And Vespasian, he sent for his general, his main man, which was Tiberius Alexandria, which was an Israelite that reached to the highest rank at that time within the Roman army. Now, we're going to read a bit of this. I haven't got much time because I'm trying to do this during my lunch hour. So we got probably about another half hour before we got to shut this down. It says here, the participation of Israelite, everywhere it says Jewish, I'm going to use the word Israelite because they were Israelite soldiers, right? Of Israelite soldiers in the armies of the imperial Rome often goes unrecognized as we tell you, right, often goes unrecognized. This is mainly a result of a lack of recognition on the part of scholars who wish to use rabbinic sources as the benchmark for Israelite practices in the imperial age. It is also difficult to identify Israelite soldiers, many of whom had, this is a very important point here, Greek and Latin names, right? Now, Cornelius, is Cornelius' name? I'm trying to think, was Cornelius, was his name Greek? Was it Italian? Was it an actual Italian name? Let me just see if I can quickly look at that 1 second. Okay, of Latin origin. Okay, Cornelius was a Roman. So the name it's a Latin name, okay, which is fine. Latin origin, right? So let's just share this tab here. This is what I'm looking at. Just let's get it up. So this is who we're going to speak about today, but we're going to read this document to show you once again that we know this, right? As we've been, we was brought this truth through our elders, the apostles of Great Millstone, who brought this to light, that Cornelius was an Israelite. And this is why he had that vision, and Peter, the apostle Peter, was sent to go to him, to his house. Now, what I was just looking up here was Cornelius's name, right? Which is here.
Strong's G 2883, Cornelius.
Which his meaning is of a horn, right? Of a horn. Cornelius, right? A Roman centurion of the Italian cohort stationed in Caesarea, who converted to Christianity. He didn't convert to Christianity because he was already what we would call, who they referred to as Christians back then, which were the Israelites. He was already an Israelite who was a devout man. So he was already a believer of his heritage, of his ancestors. He was obviously a believer of the laws, commandments, and statutes of the high holy days. How much he participated in all of that, we don't know exactly, but he was a devout man. So he was already a believer. So he didn't need to be converted, basically. All right. He was just sent to get the truth, to get the truth of Yahushua from Peter. Peter was sent to him to bless that whole household, all right, because of who he was. So it says here, Strong's definition, Cornelius, of Latin origin, right? Cornelius, a Roman Cornelius. So what we focus on here is his name. His name is of a Latin origin, right? Origin. So when we go back to what we're going to read, it says, it is also difficult to identify Israelite soldiers, many of whom had what? Greek and Latin names, like Cornelius. He had a Latin name, right? Just to show you. All right. Greek and Latin names. Unless they are specifically identified as Jews or are found in a Jewish context, such as the dedicatory inscriptions from a synagogue. Nevertheless, by using a variety of sources from the period, it is possible to appreciate the depth and breadth of Israelite service in the Roman legions, from the time of Caesar down to the early 5th century, right? There were Jews who served as simple foot soldiers, influential generals just like I said, Tiberius, Julius Alexander, and Israelite military units such as the Regiment Judea, right? Yeah, the regiment of Immensini, Judea, regardless of their relationship to Orthodox Israelite communities of the time, the service of Roman Jews in the imperial armed forces must be recognized, all right? So let's read some of this. In the year 69 AD, right, The Roman province of Judea was consumed by a 3-year rebellion that pitted Israelite zealots against the authority of the emperor and the house of Herod. All right. Not only was the revolt a destabilizing factor in the eastern regions of the empire, but it also posed a significant challenge to the new emperor Vespasian. In order to quell the Israelite revolt in his eastern marches, Vespasian resolved to send an army under the command of his son Titus, with explicit orders to crush the insurrection. Although the emperor's young son showed exceptional talent and tact for leadership, he lacked the military experience deemed necessary for a Roman general. All right. Therefore, the emperor was forced to choose an able commander capable of assisting Titus. As we always tell you, that Titus wasn't the man that took down the Israelites. It was an Israelite that took down the Israelites, as you're going to see. It says, therefore, the emperor was forced to choose an able commander capable of assisting Titus in the Judean expedition. A great number of prestigious military men were available for the post, including Annius Vinicius, right, son-in-law to the famed general Corbulo. But Vespasian made the unlikely choice of an Alexandrian Jew named Tiberius Julius Alexander to spearhead the Roman army in its effort to thwart the Israelite uprising. The emperor's decision was to prove fortuitous, as not only did Tiberius Alexander coordinate the Roman victory in Judea, but he also became Titus's trusted advisor and may have eventually reached the rank of Praetorian prefect, right? So this is referring to 70 AD. So the person who Emperor Vespasian sent for was Tiberius Julius Alexander. So he sent for his choice, it says there, but Vespasian made the unlikely choice of an Alexandrian Jew named Tiberius Julius Alexander to spearhead the Roman army in its effort to thwart the Jewish uprising, right? The Israelite uprising. So what is that referring to? That's referring to, is it Luke 21? Hold on. Oh. In Spain, behold, victory. Luke 21, I'm thinking of. 1 second. Yeah. Okay. So this is what this scholar is referring to here. This is what Vespasian sent this Israelite general who had the highest military experience in warfare. Emperor Vespasian didn't leave in charge, because I think he was Vespasian, I believe he was a general first before he was an emperor, or I believe, correct myself, Salaki. Vespasian, when he became emperor, that's when he assigned his son Titus to take over to combat the revolt in Judea. All right, when Vespasian became emperor, but he knew his son Titus didn't have the military experience to do this, so he sent for the Alexandrian Jew Titus Alexander to do that, because he had the military experience for these type of guerrilla warfares, to how to subjugate massive cities as such. So he sent for his number two. That's what he did. So this is the event here, basically. Luke 21 and 20. And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, those were the armies, the Roman armies, right? Those armies, let's just quickly go back to the article. Those armies were these armies here. Vespasian made the unlikely choice of an Alexandria Jew named Tiberius Julius Alexander to spearhead the Roman army in its efforts to thwart the Israelite uprising. So Vespasian sent for literally his number two, because his son didn't have the experience. It says the emperor's decision was to prove fortuitous, as not only did Tiberius Alexander coordinate a Roman victory in Judea, but he also became Titus's trusted advisor and may have eventually reached the rank of Praetorian prefect. So Titus was able to experience the commanding and the know-how of commanding an army and defeating an enemy under Tiberius Alexandria, right? Julius Alexandria, right? So when we go back to, sorry, not there, I'm going to go back to here. This is what we're talking about, Luke 21 and 20. So it was an Israelite who led the Roman armies against his own people to subjugate them. And this is what Yahushua was warning the Israelites about, what was going to happen to them. And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out, and let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto. All right? Because remember, a lot of people got trapped in Jerusalem because it was during the Passover when this happened. All right, or just after the Passover. It says, for these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. But woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days, for there shall be great distress in the land and wrath upon the people. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, the Roman sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations by the Romans, and Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles, starting with the Romans, until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. Because Gentiles are still treading down Jerusalem today, calling themselves Israelis and Palestinians. But it began under the Romans in 70 AD when Jerusalem finally fell. So let's go back to the article here, to this document here, right, to this book here, that's written by Andrew J. Schofield. So he says there, despite the outstanding military career of this Alexandria Jew, his name and his legacy are largely unknown outside a small circle of specialists. And I have to agree, because I never knew about this guy until I heard Apostle Tahar speak about him probably about 6, 7 years ago, when Apostle Tahar was speaking about Tiberius Julius Alexander. And that's when I myself found out that it was an actual Israelite that defeated the Israelites in 70 AD. And he was the main man. He was the general in charge who executed the plan and put the plan together to defeat his own people in Jerusalem in 70 AD, basically. So I never knew this. I always thought it was Titus was the main, because it was all based on, they built the Titus's Ark, the commemoration. Because remember, all of the praises went to Titus. This is why it says that. Titus Ark. All the praises go to, this is the menorah. Let's see if I can get it up here. Hold on. Hold on. So this is it here. What they built to show you how they defeated the Israelites. That's the ark, and they showed you they've taken the menorah, and the different artifacts, and the cups and the bowls and all of the things that they were used to worshiping and drinking out of it in Solomon's temple. They built this ark here. It's called Titus's Ark to commemorate it. It's not called the Ark of Tiberius Julius Alexander, because just like the article says, he didn't get the credit, even though he was the man that brought down the Israelites in 70 AD. It wasn't an actual Roman that brought them down. The Romans, it was the Roman army, and he was a Roman citizen in the Roman army, but it was an actual Israelite man that did this. And this is the ark here to commemorate, it's called the Ark of Titus, to commemorate the destruction and the defeat of the Israelites under the Romans. All right. And this is it here, as you can see. Titus, Ark of Titus. And they show you the Romans and the chariots coming out. See the Ark of Titus, Rome. So it shows you everything, basically. But this, as I say, it goes back to the man that led this was Tiberius Julius Alexander, as we're reading here. All right. As you can see. Yeah. Tiberius did it, but the Edomite got the credit. Absolutely. Yeah. But it was Tiberius. That's right. Yeah. It was Tiberius. He was the man that did it. He was the lead man. He was the man, because that was Vespasian's number 2, as I'm showing you here. All right. So 70 AD, the bringing down of Jerusalem in 70 AD was done by an Israelite. So, like I said, even myself thought it was Titus until I found this out through Elder Apostle Tahar around 7-8 years ago. I remember him speaking about this, and I've never forgotten this, basically. But today's edification is more to do with the involvement of the Israelites in the Roman army. All right. So it says, despite the outstanding military career of this Alexandria Jew, his name and his legacy, as you can see, are largely unknown outside a small circle of specialists. Likewise, and one of those specialists was Elder Apostle Tahar, because he knew about this. All right. And I don't know who else within Great Millstone knew about this before Apostle Tahar, but he was the first person I heard speak about this about 7-8 years ago. All right, I never forget this. So it says, likewise, the participation of Jews in the Roman military is a topic that is underemphasized or frankly ignored by historians. All right, most often scholars quote the exemptions from military service granted to Jews at Ephesus and Delos, or elaborate on the difficulties that Sabbath observance and dietary laws posed to Israelite men interested in serving under the imperial flag. When the issue of Israelite service in the Roman army is addressed, it is not without a certain degree of skepticism, and the Roman Jews in imperial service are often cast in the light of renegades or apostates, right? So I'm just plugging this. I'm going to be multitasking here when I'm doing this lesson. Let me tell you. I won't tell you what, because I'm at work, but I'm in a private meeting room. It says thus without any documentation of sources, Scaife states that Jews in the Roman army were descended from the bodyguard of the Emersents and Judean royal families who had intermarried and become pagans. So it says Smallwood states that military service was always bound to cause difficulties for the Jews of the diaspora because of their dietary laws, which made their inclusion in Gentile units unpracticable and their inability to carry out duties to the Sabbath. All right, so these are different people's opinions on why they believe that, why they were saying that they didn't believe that they were Israelites in the Roman army because of dietary laws, the Sabbath, and so forth and so on. But the proof that we're going to show you here, that this scholar's writing here, was that these guys were all wrong, because the evidence is clear to show you that there were many Israelites in the Roman army over a period of 500 years. They were serving to the point when they became emperors, right? It says Applebaum claims that the Jews in the Roman army were renegades, right? And Tiberius Julius Alexander is often recast as an apostate, even when it is acknowledged that there is no evidence of this fact, right? Because they want you to believe that they didn't appreciate their high holy days, or keep the Sabbath because they was in the Roman army, where this this scholar here is going to show you is once the evidence was reviewed, it was a complete opposite to what they were saying. It says the lack of recognition given to Israelite soldiers who served in the Roman military stems primarily from three main issues: the dearth of inscriptions and manuscripts specifically addressing Jews in the Roman military, the inability to recognize Jews with what? With Greek, back to Cornelius, with Greek and Latin names, unless they are identified as such, right? And the tendency of many scholars to rely on rabbinic works in order to reconstitute normal Israelite practices in the Roman world, right? So the inability to recognize Jews, just like it says here, the inability to recognize Jews with Greek or Latin names unless they were identified as such, and the tendency of many scholars. So that was the lack of recognition. So when we go back to Cornelius, once again, Cornelius' name is of Latin origin, but he was an Israelite in the Roman army. So when we go here, back to Cornelius, back to Acts, I always say Acts 10:1, there was a certain man in Caesarea called Cornelius, a centurion, right? Meaning that he was in charge of 100 men, right? That's where we get the word century from, right? Of the band called the Italian band, right? A devout man. Romans weren't devout. Romans were idol worshippers. Romans, listen, actual Romans are Edomites, man. These people were idol worshippers and savage at their best. They were savages, right? They weren't devout men, Edomites. They wasn't back then, and they're not today. So Cornelius was a devout man, and one that feared the Most High with all his house, which gave much alms to the people and prayed to the Most High always. He saw in a vision, evidently about the 9th hour of the day, an angel of the Most High coming into him and saying unto him, Cornelius. So Cornelius was an Israelite who was in the Roman army that had a Latin name, as we're showing you here through this documentation here that shows you this unequivocally. And when he looked on him, he was afraid and said, What is it, Lord? And he said unto him, Thy prayers and thy alms are come up for memorial before the Most High. So whose prayers goes up before the Most High? Remember, if we go to, and that's another beautiful point there, right? So Revelations 11. Hold on. Revelations 11. Is it Revelations 11? Hold on. Prayers. 1 second, family. So Revelations 8, I want. And the censer and the fire altar. Go. Revelations 8. I'm always thinking it's Revelations 11. It's Revelations 8. Just to show you, once again, when you go to Revelations 8, and so I'm going to go straight to the point. Revelations 8 verse 3, right? Revelation 8 verse 3. And another angel came and stood at the altar, all right? Let me just go to verse 2. It says, And I saw 7 angels which stood before the Most High, and to them were given 7 trumpets. And another angel came and stood at the altar, having a golden censer, and there was given unto him much incense, that he should offer it with the prayers of all the saints upon the golden altar which was before the throne, right? And the smoke of the incense, which came with the prayers of the saints, ascended up before the Most High, Yahweh, out of the angel's hands. So Cornelius's prayers were heard. The prayers that are going up to the Most High are not the prayers of the world or anyone that believes, it's the prayers of the saints, right? Now, is it Tobit? Hold on. 1 second. It's in the book of one second, family. Just make sure. 1 second. Hold tight, hold tight, hold tight. One second, family. I'm multitasking here because I'm at work, but I'm doing this lesson at the same time. Forgive me. Hi. Hi, can you hear me? I am, yes. Okay, thanks. So let's go to the book of Tobit. Tobit. Should have found the right chapter. There's Tobit. I'm just trying to find the right chapter here, folks. Okay, Tobit. Right. 13. Let me just see. Angels. Verse 15. Tobit 12. Sorry about that, folks. Tobit 12, verse. All right. Tobit chapter 12, verse 15. I am Raphael, one of the 7 holy angels, which presents the prayers of the saints and which goes in and out before the glory of the Holy One. All right. So the angel that's presenting our prayers to the Most High is the angel Raphael. As you can see here, I am Raphael, one of the 7 holy angels, which presents the prayers of the saints. Sorry, I'm not showing you the tab, Salaki. I always do that. Right. I am Raphael, one of the 7 holy angels, which presents the prayers of the saints and which goes in and out before the glory of the Holy One. All right. That's the angel Raphael. So when we go back to Revelations 8:3, remember, and I saw the 7 angels. So one of those 7 angels is who? Raphael, which stood before the Most High, and to them which were given 7 trumpets. And another angel came and stood at the altar, having a golden censer, and there was given unto him much incense, that he should offer it with the prayers of all the saints upon the golden altar which was before the throne. All right. So we know Raphael is the angel that presents these prayers. When we go back to Acts 10, what did the angel say to him? The angel says he saw in a vision. This is Cornelius. Evidently on the 9th hour of the day, an angel of the Most High coming to him, saying unto him, Cornelius, and when he looked on him, he was afraid and said, What is it, Lord? And he said unto him, Thy prayers and thy arms are come up for memorial before the Most High. All right? So, the saints are who? The saints are Israelites, right? Let's just quickly find that scripture. I think that's in Psalms 149 or 148. So, yeah, 148. Let's quickly get it up. Psalms 148. Let's quickly get it up for you. Share this tab. 148 verse 13. Let them praise the name of the Lord Yahweh, for his name alone is excellent. His glory is above the earth and heaven. He also exalts the horn of his people. Remember, Cornelius's name means the horn. All right? The children of Israel are referred to as the horn of his people. He is Yahweh by Shem Yahushai, also exalts the horn of his people. All right? The praise of all his saints. The praise of all his saints, even the children of Israel, a people near unto him, praise ye the Lord. There's another precept I'm picking up as well. Hold tight. 148. Is it that one time what I'm thinking of? It's 148, 13. 135. Psalms. We're just identifying to you for you to understand that the saints are the children of Israel. See here. Hold on. Okay, I know where I should go. Psalms 149. That's a good one there, but let's go to Psalms 149. Praise ye the Lord Yahweh, sing unto the Lord Yahweh a new song, and his praise in the congregation of saints. Let Israel rejoice in him that made him. Let the children of Zion be joyful in their king. So the congregation of the saints are the children of Zion, are the children of Israel. So that's another precept to show you, all right? Another beautiful one. Daniel 7. Is Daniel 7 I want? Yeah, Daniel 7. The vision interpreted. Daniel 7, right? But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. Who are the saints of the Most High? The children of Israel, the children of Yasharallah. That's who it's talking about. Get that for 1 second. So Psalms 85. Psalms 85. Psalms 85, verse 8. It says, show us thy mercy, O Yahweh, and grant us thy salvation. I will hear what the Most High, Yahweh, will speak, for he will speak peace unto his people, who are the Lord's people, the children of Israel, and to his saints. But let them not turn again to folly. His saints are the children of Israel. So when we go back to Cornelius 8:10, once again, it makes you understand when he says here, and when it, Act 10 and 4, and when he looked on him, the angel looked on Cornelius, Cornelius looked on the angel, he was afraid and said, what is it, Lord? And he said unto him, thy prayers and thy alms are come up for a memorial before the Most High. And now send men to Joppa and call for one Simon, whose surname is Peter. So his prayers and his alms, all the good things that he done, are come up for a memorial, for a remembrance before the Most High God. So, once again, to make you easily understand that Cornelius was an Israelite with a Latin name in the Roman army. All right? Unequivocally, that's who Cornelius was. Cornelius was not an actual Roman. He was a Roman citizen who was an Israelite in the Roman army. All right? So, we're going to continue reading this document here. It says, a larger corpus of Jewish inscriptions and artifacts from the ancient period has become available. All right? It has become clear that the observance of Judaism in the Roman world was much more variegated than previously supposed. Authors like Levine and Schwartz have now challenged the assertions of prior historians, claiming that Jewish practice in the imperial period encompassed a broad range of religious activities, from the orthodoxy of the rabbinic academies to the syncretism of Jews who had Latin names like Cornelius and employed pagan motifs in synagogue decorations. With these facts in mind, the prospect of active Jewish participation in the military becomes tangible, and upon careful examination of primary sources, it is possible to demonstrate the profound extent to which Roman Jews operated in the imperial army. All right? So, by the time of Caesar, Jews could already reflect on the illustrious 300-year history of armed service in Persia and the Hellenistic East. Once again, we talk about the Hellenization of the Israelites. All right? Not to mention the military exploits of the Hasmonean dynasty in the Israelite states proper. All right? Throughout the Ptolemaic period, Jews served in every capacity in the Egyptian army. So they've always been involved in the politics and the army of the nations that colonized them or that ruled over them, or nations that they had to pay tribute to. We've always played a part in every capacity in the setup of these nations. It says there were military colonies at Elephantine, border guards at Pelusium, and reservists in the Epigon. Queen Cleopatra III's top military commanders were both Jews. And remember, Cleopatra III would have been an Edomite, because her father goes back to the Ptolemies, all right, on that side. Her mother could have been an Egyptian, an actual Egyptian, Hamite, but her father goes back to the Ptolemies, was an Edomite. So her top military commanders were both Jews. Chelcias and Ananias, the sons of the legendary high priest Onias of Heliopolis. Right? You can read about the priest Onias. The Maccabees speak a lot about him. This military tradition continued into the early imperial period. Josephus makes specific mention of Israelite military colonists instrumental in pacifying the region of Trachonitis. To this effect, 500 Israelite horsemen from Mesopotamia were settled at Batanea under the leadership of a captain named Zamarius. These settlers and their descendants continued in their role as the garrison into the 2nd century and supported imperial forces during the Israelite revolt. Careful examination of sources from the Julio-Claudia period reveals a smattering of Israelite soldiers laboring in the imperial army. In the year 19, Emperor Tiberius forcibly conscripted 4,000 Roman Jews for military service on the island of Sardinia. So that's just one island. But there is also evidence of Jews serving in a voluntary capacity. Matthias, a Syrian Jew, served in the Legio I Aduatrix under Nero and received Roman citizenship in 68. That's the year Nero died. It might be the year before. I think it was 68 he died. Yeah, it was 68, the year of the four emperors. Prior to the implementation of the Constitutio Antoninania in 211, military service was one of the few ways that Jews could achieve Roman citizenship. And the Apostle Paul was a Roman citizen, but he wasn't in the Roman army, but he was a Roman citizen, the Apostle Paul, if you remember. This was granted after 26 years of service in the auxiliary, as recruitment into the legions was confined to those who were already citizens of the empire. Although dedicatory, funeral, and laudatory inscriptions give us the names of many Jews in imperial ranks, only in the instance of the above-mentioned Tiberius Julius Alexander can something of a career be gleaned from the sources. Tiberius Julius Alexander, the Egyptian Jew who was destined to become one of the most powerful personas in the empire, was born in the year 16 in Alexandria. His father, Alexander Lysicamus, was a member of the Egyptian gentry and customs chief on the Arabian frontier. Tiberius's uncle was none other than the famous philosopher Philo. There you go, look at that. We've always told you about these philosophers, that these are all Israelites that they speak about. But we won't go into that. We don't want to divert into that. It says anyway, so like many rich assimilated Jews, just like what you see today, many Israelites are assimilated into these cultures, these nations that they live amongst today. When they were Hellenized by the Greeks under Antiochus and the Ptolemies, many Israelites had no choice. They were forcefully assimilated. And we see the same today, except today they're not so much forcefully assimilated. They're taking it with open hands. So like many rich assimilated Jews in the city of Alexandria, Tiberius's family had received Roman citizenship during the reign of Augustus and expected their children to assume important posts in the imperial administration. From a young age, Tiberius and his brother Marcus were groomed for a position in the Roman bureaucracy. Their father eschewed a standard Israelite education. So they still had a standard Israelite education, right, during their upbringing, Tiberius and his brother. Instead had his children tutored in classics. So that was the more important thing for them to learn, the Roman classics. So they had a small influence of Israelite education in their life. As it says there, their father eschewed their standards. It was a standard Israelite education, but his children were more so tutored in the classics. Once the boys reached manhood, Alexander Lysicamus arranged for his sons to enter disparate fields in Roman imperial service. Marcus would become influential in the family's native city of Alexandria and eventually married Princess Berenice, the daughter of King Agrippa I. Meanwhile, Tiberius began his illustrious career in the Roman army, where his leadership skills and family connections allowed him to secure the post of governor of the Therapag in 42, which is 42 AD, or CE, Common Era, whichever one you want to use. Tiberius' success in this position prompted Emperor Claudius to appoint him procurator of Judea 4 years later. All right, so that makes sense why Vespasian sent for him, because at one point he was the procurator of Judea 4 years later. And this is why I hear Apostle Tahar speak about this a lot of times. All right, Tiberius prompted Emperor Claudius to appoint him procurator of Judea 4 years later. Now, I always hear Apostle Tahar speak about not Pompey, what's his name? The governor of Judea during the time of Yahushua, not Pompey, Pilate. That Pilate could have been an Israelite. Apostle Tahar always says that. He says that we don't know for sure, but he says Pilate could have been an Israelite. All right? Pilate was Pilate. Is it Pilate? Pilate. Hold on. One second. Pontius Pilate. I was trying to remember his first name. So you've got Pontius Pilate, right? Apostle Tahar always says that. He says that maybe Pilate was could have been an Israelite because he was the governor in Jerusalem during the time of Yahushua's crucifixion. All right, he was the man in charge. We'll just bring it up here. Yahushua handed over to Pontius Pilate. All right, when morning came, all the chief priests and the elders of the people plotted against Yahushua to put him to death. And when they had bound him, they led him away and delivered him to Pontius Pilate, the governor. So Apostle Tahar always says that there is a possibility that Pontius Pilate could have been a Jake, an Israelite, who was raised under the Roman customs, just like Tiberius Julius Alexander, and eventually became the governor of Judea. And there's a lot of validation to that argument that it could have been, because as we're showing you here from these documents here that this scholar has put together, it says here, Tiberius' success in this position prompted Emperor Claudius to appoint him procurator of Judea 4 years later. So that would have been in 46 AD. So this is happening after the crucifixion of Yahushua, after Pontius Pilate was in charge of Jerusalem, Judea. It says, at this time, the province of Judea was a hotbed of revolution as Jewish zealots, so I say Israelite zealots, struggled to throw off the yoke of Roman hegemony. Many of these core religionists considered Tiberius a turncoat, you see, for serving the Roman emperor. So they would have known that, they knew that Tiberius Alexander, Julius Alexander, was an Israelite. So even his fellow Israelites knew that he was an Israelite because they considered him a turncoat for serving the Roman emperor. But historian Josephus records that Tiberius' time as procurator was a period of peace in Judea. Tiberius Alexander left his station in Judea in 48 AD, and by 63 AD, he had risen to become one of the highest ranking officers in the Eastern Army, a member of Corbulo's general staff. Tiberius conducted himself with honor during Corbulo's Armenian campaign, and in the role of the advisor to the 5th Legion, was instrumental in initiating negotiations with the Armenian king Tiridates. His success in the Armenian War secured Corbulo's backing, and with that general's recommendation, Nero appointed Tiberius governor of Egypt. So now he's governor of Egypt in 66 AD. Though the time of troubles that followed in the wake of Nero's murder, Tiberius would prove himself a loyal Roman administrator when the general Vespasian challenged the usurper Vitellius, because Vitellius was the last of the other 3 out of the 4 emperors. I think Otho was the first one, then it was Galba, then it was Vitellius, and then obviously Vespasian was next. So this is during the year of the 4 emperors. That's a historical fact. We can quickly show you. This is what we're talking about here. The year of the 4 emperors was a year of civil war in the Roman Empire in 69 AD. The 4 emperors who ruled in succession were, okay, Galba was first. I find myself corrected. I said Otho was first. Galba was first. Otho was second. Vitellius was third. And then Vespasian was fourth. So this is what we're reading about in this document here. Basically, this is where we're up to here. So it says the year began with the suicide of Emperor Nero in 68 AD, followed by the brief civil war. Otho, Galba's deputy, was passed over as heir and rallied the Praetorian Guard, who killed Galba and his heir in public. Otho and Vitellius then reigned briefly before Vespasian was named emperor. All right. So we're going to go back to this document here. So it says here, where was we? We was here. It says, through the time of the troubles that followed in the wake of Nero's murder, Tiberius would prove himself a loyal Roman administrator. When the general Vespasian challenged the usurper Vitellius for the imperial purple, right, which are the royal colors, Tiberius became an early supporter of the old commander with whom he had served in the east. So Tiberius had served under Vespasian in previous wars. This is why Vespasian sent for him to quell the Israelite uprising that happened during Nero's reign. Tiberius's backing allowed Vespasian to triumph over Vitellius, and his acclamation of the new emperor in Alexandria became the official date of Vespasian's advent. Tiberius Alexander's Israelite background, personal talent, and profound loyalty made him the perfect choice as chief of staff during Titus's invasion of Judea. There you go. As military advisor to Titus, Tiberius experienced the same success that he had enjoyed in Egypt and Armenia, because we were known for, you go back to Moses. Moses was the most successful general in the Egyptian army, right? When Moses was lived and raised by the Egyptians, he was the most successful military general for the Egyptians was Moses. That's why it was a big blow to those Hamites, the Egyptians, when Moses found out that he was an actual Israelite, and he got the calling from Yahweh to go to his people, and then to go to Pharaoh to say, let my people go. Because he was their greatest general was Moses. You think of King David and his mighty men, right? This is what the Lord says. The Lord says, I'm a man of war, right? I think it's Exodus 15. King David and his mighty men. Is it King David? Is it 1 Samuel? Hold on. 1 second. I just want to quickly show you. All right. We are the true soldiers. We are the true warriors. He's mighty men. Whose mighty men? King David's mighty men. These be the names of the mighty men whom David had. The Taconite that sat in the seat, chief among the captains. The same was Adino, the Esnite. He lifted up his spear against 800 whom he slew at one time. After him was Eleazar, the son of Dodo, the Ahohite, one of the three mighty men with David, when they defied the Philistines that were gathered together to battle, and the men of Israel were gone away. He arose and smote the Philistines until his hand was weary, and his hand clave unto the sword. And the Lord Yahweh wrought a great victory that day, and the people returned after him only to spoil. And after him was Shammah, the son of Agi, the Harite. And the Philistines were gathered together into a troop, where there was a piece of ground full of lentils, and the people fled from the Philistines. But he, Shammah, stood in the midst of the ground and defended it and slew the Philistines, and Yahweh wrought a great victory. And 3 of the 30 chief went down and came to David in the harvest time in the cave of Adullam, and the troop of the Philistines pitched in the valley of Rephaim. Right? And David was then in a hold, and the garrison of the Philistines, and was then in Bethlehem. And David longed and said, oh, that one would give me a drink of the water of the well of Bethlehem, which is by the gate. Now you can read this yourself, but I'm just showing you this is a history. We are known for being mighty men. Moses was the greatest general in the Egyptian army, was Moses. He's the way how he defeated his opposition, the way how he planned his defeat was like all the other generals that followed Moses would follow Moses' footprint. He would create the blueprint on how to defeat nations in wars and how to go about it. And he was never defeated, Moses. Just like David. David was never defeated. And remember, the Lord says, is it Exodus 15 or Exodus 20? It's about Exodus 15, Exodus 20. Exodus 15:3. The Lord Yahweh is a man of war. The Lord Yahweh is his name. The Most High is a man of war. And that's the song of Moses and Israel. He's telling them he's a man of war. So when we go back to the article, when it says here, as military, this is where we're at this point here. As a military advisor to Titus, Tiberius experienced the same success that he had enjoyed in Egypt and Armenia. The Israelite insurgency was put down in less than a year, and Titus was held a great victor, quickly becoming the darling of the empire. When it was Julius Tiberius Alexander, the Israelite, that should have really got all that acclaim. He was the one that defeated his own people for the Romans. It says, although he was merciless in his efforts to put down the Israelite revolt against Rome, Tiberius Alexandria seemed to maintain some of his religious sensibilities, all right, during the last days of the war. You see, his Israelite heritage kicks in. Josephus states that in the final moments of the siege of Jerusalem, both Tiberius and Titus desperately tried to avert the burning of the temple. Tiberius Alexander returned to Rome with Titus, and according to the Egyptian papyrus, was eventually appointed to the post of Praetorian Prefect, the highest position you could get under an emperor. Although the interpretation of this source has been contested, if Tiberius Alexander indeed attained this position, he was undoubtedly the most. This is where we're at. Although the interpretation of this source have been contested, if Tiberius Alexander indeed attained this position, he was undoubtedly the most powerful Jew at the time and must be recognized as one of the predominant Israelite men in military history. This is why you get to understand, after the fall of the Flavian dynasty, this is when Jake became the rulers of Rome. Nero became the first Jake Roman emperor. Israelite Roman emperor was Nero. And that was straight, Nerva. Salaki, I'm saying Nero. Nerva, not Nero. Nero was an Edomite. He died in 68 AD. After Domitian died, now Titus was the last one because he was a younger brother. After Titus died in 96 AD, Nerva became the first Jake Israelite emperor of the Roman Empire. And seeing Tiberius Alexander had become a Praetorian prefect, which is just one level below the emperor, makes you understand. Because this happened under the Flavian dynasty, which was the last Edomite Roman dynasty to rule Rome. And at that point, it would have been the western part of the Roman Empire before it expanded into the east. It says Tiberius reached the pinnacle. There you go, look. Tiberius reached the pinnacle. Tiberius reached the pinnacle of his career with the victory in Judea and his possible appointment as prefect with the death of his friend and patron, Emperor Titus. Tiberius Alexander makes an abrupt exit from the annals of history. In the end, the fate of this illustrious Jew from Alexandria remains unknown. Right? It is possible that at the ripe old age of 65, the man merely retired from public life, but it has also been postulated that he met a violent end in the purges of Titus's successor, Emperor Domitian. Okay, so it was Domitian was the last one. Salakia, I would think it was Titus. There is, however, no firm proof of Tiberius Alexander's ultimate fate, and until some yet undiscovered evidence comes to light, we are unfortunately relegated to the realm of conjecture. Tiberius Alexander was without question the most successful Jew to serve in the ranks of the Roman army, but Israelite participation in the Roman military did not begin or end with this great Alexandrian adventurer. Indeed, from available sources, it would appear that the pinnacle of Israelite participation in the Roman military would not be reached until 2 centuries after Alexander's death. To the consternation of many rabbis of the period, Israelite men formed a cadre in the imperial army from the time of Emperor Caracalla. I think that's Denzel Washington in Gladiator 2. I think that's who he is. I think he's the Emperor Caracalla, I believe. Down to the reign of the late Christian emperors, there were even exclusively Israelite units, such as the Royal Emmenseni Jews. Many diasporian Jews were fully immersed in Roman culture, used Greek or Latin names like Cornelius, and were active in civic administration of numerous cities around the Mediterranean. All right? So many diasporian Jews were fully immersed in Roman culture and used Greek and Latin names like Cornelius, as we established earlier. In this respect, they approximate modern Reformed Jews, and it is not surprising that some men of the Israelite faith would look to establish careers in the Roman military. Unfortunately, this high level of integration puts the scholars at a certain disadvantage when attempting to identify Roman Israelite soldiers in historical records. Unless their religion is specifically identified, Jews with Greek or Latin names escape our notice. That's how Cornelius escaped the notice of Christianity, of the so-called, of the vocab Malones of the day, because he had a Latin name. It says, unless their religion is specifically identified on their graves, Jews with Greek or Latin names escape our notice, and it's probable that more Roman Israelite soldiers will be lost to posterity than can ever be identified. Based on evaluations of what archaeological and historical material is available, most Israelite soldiers seem to have originated from 3 distinct regions of the empire. In the later imperial period, the Israelite community of Italy provided many recruits, but the Hellenic Jews, populations of Syria and Asia Minor, and the Jews of Egypt probably contributed the most to the Roman Israelite military effort. As mentioned above, the Egyptian Israelite community already had a rich military tradition before the advent of Imperial Rome. Roman Israelite soldiers who are mentioned in the inscriptions and artifacts from the 1st and 2nd centuries are almost entirely of Egyptian or Syrian extraction. An inscription from Jaffa mentions an Egyptian Jew named Theanaum, the centurion. Theanaum the centurion. That could easily have been Cornelius the centurion. And a military diploma from Dacia speaks of the foot soldiers Barsimus Callisthenes, a Jew serving in the cohorts of the first Vindicorum. Other artifacts from modern day Romania attest to the facts that many Jews were stationed in the province during the 1st century. There was also a significant Israelite military presence in the neighboring Pannonia. 2/3 of all Israelite inscriptions from Roman Pannonia are those of legionnaires, primarily members of the 1st Syrian archers, Aurelia, Antonia, and the 1st Hemetian archers. So I'm not going to read anymore. I mean, this is a beautiful document that was put together. That's all based on archaeological evidence that made him write this thesis and put it together. As you can see, these are the books that he references: Josephus' Jewish Antiquities, Isaac, The Limits of the Empire, Josephus' Jewish Antiquities, Corpus Inscriptionum Latinarium, quite a few documents, Tacitus Annuals, Josephus' Jewish Antiquities again, that he references in this document here. All right, and scholars. Seth Schwartz, Imperialism and Jewish Society. This is Josephus' Jewish Antiquities again. The Encyclopedia of Judaica. These are all the different documents that he references to put this together. Margaret Williams, The Jews Amongst the Greeks and the Romans, a Diasporian source book. The Jews' service in the Roman army, the Jews under the Roman rule. I mean, it's a beautiful documentation that I put, and this is what it's called. It's called Project Muse, the Sons of Israel in Caesar's Service, Israelite Soldiers in the Roman Military, by Andrew J. Schofield. Right? Yeah, nice. It was beautiful to read this, boy. Let me tell you. So I didn't realize I went that long, over an hour. But anyway, I pray you're edified. As always, I want to give all the praise and the glory to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, and to his only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to our apostles and to the elders of Great Millstone. As always, keep praying, keep safe, repent, and hold on to this truth, family, because we are the true sons of Yasharallah, truly. And this is just more evidence to make you understand when people speak about Cornelius, speak about the Hellenized Jews, the Romanized Jews. This is all going on. And these are archaeological facts from the Purdue University Press that we're reading here that's showing you this, right? Unequivocally how high up they were. And it makes sense that, yes, Pontius Pilate could have been an Israelite that was the governor of Judea during the time of Yahushai's crucifixion. So anyway, shalom, shalom, shalom. All praises.